Today's lesson is on note names. Let's start off with the C major scale, and we'll start naming the notes. You can look at the last video entitled Lesson 1 in order to get the layout of the piano. But we know that middle C is right here to the left of the two black notes. So here are our C's. And the first thing we want to do is we want to play our tetrachord, which we also learned in our last video. Tetrachords are simply your four notes playing the scale with a series of half steps and whole steps. Once again, that series is whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So you start on C, whole step, half step to F, whole step, half step. And also whole steps and half steps are defined in the last video as well. For the C major scale, we're going to start with C. One key is two rules to remember when talking about scales. Number one is the letters must go in the same order as the alphabet. For example, it has to go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Or you can start on A and say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No matter where you start, it has to follow the order of the alphabet using the letters A through G. You will never have a B back to back. You never have two letters back to back, the same letter, nor will you skip a letter. So that's important to remember, and that will help you when it comes to calling out the notes of your scale. For C, so we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C in that order. Now, once you move that around to different keys, you run into what you call these notes here are what you call enharmonic tones. Enharmonic simply means that you have one sound but can have two different names. For example, this note here can be called C sharp or it can be called D flat. This note here could be called F sharp or it can be called G flat. This note here can be called D sharp or it can be called E flat. It all depends on what scale you're playing in. Before we break down into that, let's talk about sharps and flats. A sharp is when you simply take a note and you raise it a half step, is a sharp. To make a flat, you simply take that note and you lower it a half step. For example, if I wanted to play C sharp, I find C and I raise it for the sharp, I raise it a half step, C sharp. If I wanted to play F sharp, I find F and I raise it a half step, F sharp. Flats is the same except for you go down a half step. So if I wanted to find A flat, I find A and I go down a half step to A flat. If I wanted to find E flat, I find E and I go down a half step, E flat. This is my E flat. With that, you basically you name the notes in your major scale using the principle of the notes have to go in order, and knowing how to determine the difference between calling these a sharp or a flat. For example, will this be called D flat or will it be called C sharp? Basically, the way to tell that, it depends on your scale that you're playing. For example, if I'm playing a C sharp scale, I will use, of course, C sharp. Rule number two that you want to remember, I mentioned earlier that there are two rules that you want to remember. Rule number two, very important. In a sharp key, all the notes that are enharmonic will be sharp. In a flat key, all the notes will be flat. For example, if I have any notes that are not natural, meaning it's a regular C or a regular D or a regular E, if I have any notes that's not natural, it's going to follow the key that I'm playing in. Sharps will follow sharps, flats will follow flats. So if I'm going to do the C sharp major scale, I'm going to first plunk out my tetrachord, get my scale together, And I'm going to start naming notes. C sharp. Got to go in order of the alphabet. D sharp. Remember, this could be D sharp or E flat, but in the key of C sharp, this has to be D sharp. So C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C sharp. You have to follow the scale. So you use your sharps and your flats in order to accommodate your scale. Let's do another sharp key. Let's do F sharp. Plunk out our tetrachord. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. You got F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp. Let's look at a flat key. Let's look at E flat. E flat, F natural, or just F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, E flat. You have to go in the same order of the alphabet, and if you have to make any adjustments, flats will follow flats, sharps will follow sharps. Let's look at B flat. B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat. Let's look at C sharp again. Let's go over that again. We're gonna go in C sharp and we're gonna go in D flat. The same scale, just different keys. C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C sharp. Now, if I was playing in the key of D flat was my tonic, my reference, I would say D flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C, D flat. Now, the main thing to remember is you want to be familiar with the proper way to talk about the keys. Very rarely will you hear somebody say I'm playing in A sharp. Most of the time they're gonna say I'm playing in B flat. You very rarely hear somebody say I'm playing in D sharp. Most of the time it's gonna be E flat. But here we're not trying to build average musicians. We're trying to build musicians who know what they're doing, because the Bible speaks of showing yourself worthy and showing yourself study to show yourself approved. So we want to understand this. Let's do a couple of other keys. Let's do the key of B. Plunk out our tetrachord. B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B. Once you find your key that you're playing in, and you simply know that you have to go in alphabetical order, and you understand how sharps and how flats are made, then you can name the notes in any of the major scales. I hope this helped you. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll answer them to the best I can. God bless you.